You're listening to English Anywhere Radio. And before we get into today's story, we wanted to mention something new we're really excited about.
Yes, because English Anywhere is growing into more than just a podcast now. It's becoming a radio station built around real English, real conversations, and helping people feel comfortable listening wherever they are.
And that means we now have a breakfast show coming as well. Very different energy to us, I should say.
Very different. The dynamic duo, Kylie and Jax, our very own Australian pair of dingoes.
They chat about everyday life in Australia, local customs, the way people actually speak, and all those sometimes crazy expressions that don't always make sense when you first hear them.
They also make shadowing really fun. So instead of studying English, you're listening, repeating naturally, and picking up rhythm and confidence without even realizing it.
It's the kind of show that is very easy to follow. Easy listening, as they say. You can put it on in the morning while you're getting ready, having coffee, or just relaxing at home. And just listen to their conversations, making normal conversations easier to follow. No pressure, just familiarizing yourself in your own time.
And then later in the day, you come back to us where things slow down a little. Stories, travel, conversations, and the kind of English that you hear between friends and family.
So if you enjoyed today's episode, keep an eye out for the English Anywhere Breakfast Show with Kylie and Jax, coming soon.
All right, now let's get into today's story.
I'm Greg, your afternoon host, and I'm joined as always by the very interesting and chatty Chelsea. Cannot express how happy we are to have you guys tune in every Tuesday and Thursday. We are loving the feedback, and honestly, it means the world to us.
I second that. I'm also very happy to be here and excited to know what are we chatting about today.
Well, today we're pivoting from travel tales to something a bit more sporty and super impressive. As always, Chelsea, what you get up to is really interesting. But Chelsea, before we get into the blood, sweat, and tears of your marathon journey, I think we should let our listeners in on our shared passion. We aren't just podcast hosts. We are, how do I put this? Total dog fanatic.
Oh, absolutely. Consumed is the word you're looking for, Greg. If our lives were a pie chart, about 90% of it would be labeled totally smitten dog parents.
Exactly. If you have ever been lucky enough to share your home with a dog, you know they don't just live with you, they take over. I'm convinced that meeting another dog owner instantly connects you. Truly the best conversation starters in the world.
So true. On paper, I live alone. But in reality, I share my house with a mischievous, golden-haired terrier named Patty.
You're never alone, that's for sure.
Well, I call him Patty when he's behaving. But when I catch him rummaging through bins or chewing a shoe, then he's Patrick. And in extreme times, without any thought, I go to his middle name as well, Patrick James. That's when he chews something I love, like my new handbag. I won't think about that at the moment. But what I do love about him is every morning, without fail, I wake up to his little face just inches from mine, eyes wide open, starting at me. He's ready to seize the day, even if I'm not. Since I've had him over 2 years now, I really don't need an alarm clock.
The dog servant life, I know it well.
Exactly. We do our brisk morning walk, and I see the whole servant crew. Always up bright and early is my good friend and Jenny, always with her trusted companion, Phoebe. Phoebe is a cute terrier cross with a bit of, maybe Jack Russell? I'll have to ask Jenny. Anyway, Phoebe is a cutie with a lovely black and tan coat. She looks like she could be Patty's sister. They mirror each other a lot and even sleep the same peculiar way on their backs, completely relaxed, like they have no worries in the world. So funny. If I'm heading into the studio, Patty goes to doggy daycare, which is basically a fancy way of saying he lounges on a couch with his buddies and occasionally gets a groom. It's a hard life, isn't it?
It sounds exhausting. What a life they have. My house is even more chaotic. I live with my 2 brothers, and we are all woken up by the sound of happy dotty tails wagging and hitting the walls. They just stand there, stealthily still, apart from the tails going a million miles an hour. The same as Patty, just staring, waiting for my breathing to change or an eye to twitch. Then, as soon as I slightly move, boom, they're both on my bed. Chaos. It's their ritual, and I am right in the middle of it. I just hope my next girlfriend is a dog person, as this is my world, and to be honest, I love it. Mayhem in the morning, would not have it any other way. Their energy is so infectious, it makes me want to seize the day just like they do.
I am amazed how Patty reacts to what day is in. Weekdays, he's like, come on, get up. On weekends, Patty knows the vibe. He knows it's Saturday. I'm serious. He's calmer. He follows me into the kitchen with this look like, what's the hurry, Mom? Slow down. Don't you know what day it is? I didn't notice at first, thinking he was just tired today. And then I'm like, oh my goodness, he knows it's Saturday. He's a smart cookie.
He's a savvy little fellow, and it sounds like you've got a great setup with Jenny.
So true. I'd be lost without her. If I'm running late, she just comes over, scoops up Patty, and he's off, and totally happy. He treats her house like a second home. No stress, no drama, just straight through the door.
That's the key to a good work-life balance when you have pets. It's about finding your tribe and helping each other out. My brothers and I actually fight over who gets to take the dogs fishing or camping. My parents made sure they were trained young, so they're incredibly well behaved.
You've got shepherds, right?
Spot on. An Aussie and a Belgian. They are the definition of intelligent, intense, and loyal. Because they're so food-focused, training was a breeze. I can take them into the outback or a crowded cafe and not have a worry in the world.
People think big dogs are too much, but that is not all true. It's the behavior, no matter how big or small. Like kids, really. No one likes bad behavior. A well-trained dog can go anywhere easily. I had a friend whose dog even rode on his motorcycle with him. They were inseparable, and he was invited to everything. Impressed with Duke, because Duke was a well-mannered guest, and that's what you want. Stress-free catch-ups.
Could not agree more. My two dogs are classed as big, but at times you wouldn't know they are there. They are chilled. I couldn't be without them. They make me tick. But man, the thought of them being hurt or left behind, I cheer up, seriously. That's why those rescue stories hit me so hard. Whenever I hear one, I go home and spoil my boys just a little bit more.
Which is exactly why the story from my marathon trip stayed with both of us. It's a story about resilience in more ways than one. So let's set the scene. I decided it was time to finally commit. I'd been talking about it for years.
I can attest to that.
And as you well know, Adrian, when I set my mind on something, I won't stop until it's done. So on my morning run, which is where I do most of my thinking, I felt good and I thought, I am the healthiest I have ever been. So if I don't do a marathon now, I probably never will.
Carpe diem.
Yes, you summed it up perfectly. Seizing the day, seizing the moment. But I needed to squeeze it to my life. I organized myself and made it happen. It's a great feeling to just do it. You know what I mean? So I checked with Jenny, she locked in the dates to watch Patty, and voila, I registered.
And you weren't that sure where it was held at first, right?
Honestly, no. I just knew it was legendary, scenic, challenging, and full of atmosphere. I signed up first and figured out the logistics later.
That is a bold move, Chelsea. Kudos to you.
You know, as soon as I arrived, the air just felt different. Every cafe was packed with people in neon spandex, stretching in parks, talking about split times and carb loading. These were my people. I was traveling alone, which can be a bit daunting, but the moment I started stretching near a group, it felt so good, so right.
Running is like a universal language.
It really is. I actually felt a bit teary-eyed. That sigh of relief when you realized you've made the right choice, there's nothing like it.
But then the environment started to test you guys.
It did. A few days before the race, a heat wave hit. The main concern was the wind, and we were getting constant updates. There had been a small bushfire in the mountains to the left, contained, thank goodness, but on the morning of the race, I could smell that faint, smoky scent. It makes you feel a bit vulnerable.
And that's when the legend of Ressi began.
Right. On Monday morning, word spread through the camp. A runner had been out on a final training bit in the rugged hills when he spotted something moving. It wasn't a wild animal. It was a dog, alone, skeletal, covered in dust, but wagging his tail.
This is the part that gives me goosebumps.
This dog didn't just watch him, he joined him. He ran alongside the runner. When the runner slowed down to catch his breath, the dog slowed down. When he stopped for water, the dog stopped.
He wasn't just a dog, he was a pacer.
Exactly. One of the trainers saw them coming back into camp and said, "Man, that dog is resilient." And just like that, the name Ressie stuck. He became an instant celebrity. He even made it onto the local radio that afternoon.
I love that, but it wasn't just about the dog being found, it was about how he started taking care of the runners.
I met a lovely local girl called Bianca. She had done the race 3 times before, so a wealth of knowledge and a great running partner for me. We were same level of fitness, so worked out perfectly. On a pre-race jog, she hit a nasty hole in the road and went down hard. I seriously couldn't look, but turned out it looked worse than what it was. Just scraped knees. Palms were cut a bit, but nothing serious. We were all worried, but she stood up smiling. Later at breakfast, she was covered in bandages, but cracking jokes. And guess who was sitting right under her chair, resting his head on her foot?
Ressie.
Every single second. He knew she was the one who was wounded. It was like he was returning the favor for being rescued.
Someone had already decided to take him home, hadn't they?
Yes, a quiet agreement was made, but the race hadn't even started yet. And Greg, the conditions on race day were unlike anything I'd ever trained for.
Okay, Chelsea, take us there. It's Tuesday morning, the sun is coming up, the smoke is in the air, and your heart is pounding.
The starting line was a sea of nerves. 42 kilometers of mountain terrain lay ahead. I remember looking at my watch, my hands shaking slightly. Then I felt a nudge. I looked down, and there was Ressie, weaving through the legs of the runners, giving everyone a little good luck sniff.
He was the mascot.
He really was. When the gun went off, the sound echoed through the valley. The first 10K were beautiful. Scenic ridges, blue skies, but by the 20K mark, the scenic part stopped being fun and started being painful. The heat we were worried about, it turned into a furnace.
That's when you hit the wall.
I hit it hard at 30 kilometers. My legs felt like they were made of lead. I was struggling to breathe. The smoke was getting thicker, and I thought, I can't do this. I'm gonna call it a day. I stopped by a water station, bent over with my hands on my knees, ready to quit.
But you didn't.
I heard this soft panting. I looked to my right, and there was Ressie. He wasn't even official, but he was still out there. He looked at me with those deep brown eyes, gave a little bark, and started trotting forward. He kept looking back to see if I was following.
He was coaching you.
Greg, I'm not kidding. I started running just because I didn't want to let that dog down. We ran the last 12 kilometers together. When I crossed that finish line, I didn't care about my time. I just collapsed, and Ressie laid right down next to me. We were both finished.
That is incredible. So what happened to the resilient Ressie?
Well, remember Bianca, the girl who fell? Her family were on the sidelines, 3 little siblings who watched his every move. They were worried when he was running with us, as he was a little skinny, so the kids were smitten. And you guessed it, Ressie was rescued. Such a relief. As I know me, I would not have been able to leave without him being adopted first. He truly is such a special little dog. It turned out they're from Durban, so no problems with adopting him and getting him home. He went from a scruffy, unloved ghost in the Smoky Hills to living in an apparently affluent house with a pool and 3 adoring kids to play with. You know, sometimes things really do work out.
Happy ending for everyone.
What I realized is whether you're a human running a marathon or a wonderful dog like Ressie surviving in the bush, we all just need a little tribe to get us to the finish line.
I think that's a perfect place to wrap up today's chat, Kelsey. So interesting as always. Until next time.
Thanks, Greg. It truly is a pleasure chatting to you and our loyal listeners, who I am so pleased to say are growing in numbers and asking for more tales. So please drop a message below, and any suggestions will be duly noted. Until next time, can't wait.